What's going on, y'all? I'm Craig Daniel. This is my 95 Mitsubishi FTO. Welcome aboard my 95 Mitsubishi FTO GPX. So I'm gonna do this in a similar fashion that I did with my Lotus review video. I'm gonna do overall positives, overall negatives, and then just kind of an overall feel about the car. Now, I'm not going to talk so much about it being right-hand drive because I made a whole separate video about driving right-hand drive in America. There will be some aspects that come up about it, but for the most part, we're just going to talk about the FTO as a car in general, and, you know, as if it was kind of like a left-hand drive car. But with that being said, first positive I'm going to get out of the way is the obvious cool factor of the car. It being right-hand drive, it being a JDM import that they're so rare in America. I believe there's less than 10 legally imported into America right now. So the rarity factor, the cool factor, this car is just top-notch in that aspect. And it's just so intriguing to see people's reactions and get people's opinions and people that's never seen the car before in their life just seeing it for the first time. It's really cool. But that is by far the most best positive that I'd have to say about it. It's a cool factor. You could take it to a car show and be sitting next to a Lamborghini and people will still walk up to this car and be like, what is that? So that is awesome. Second positive I'm going to give to this car is the affordability of the car. Now I know in Japan and the UK these things are cheap. They're so cheap. But if you can find a good one to import, one that's in really good condition, in America, I got this thing for $13,000. Now that's cheaper than my Mini, obviously cheaper than my Lotus, and it's cheaper than honestly most daily drivers than you would buy nowadays. Now another positive that I'm going to give it is one that I was pleasantly surprised in is the gas mileage. This thing was rated for 18 miles city, 26 highway, but after the conversion, so I got to convert it from kilos to miles, but after the conversions I get about 25 to 27 miles per gallon. Now I do drive a lot of highway, but I'm driving city a lot too, and rural roads, so it's kind of really surprising to me that I'm getting 25 to 27 miles per gallon. I mean, I'm not mad at it, I love it, but it's pretty awesome and it's saving money. So I get about an average of 500 kilometers on a full tank of gas, which is about 310 miles. So it's got a large tank, and like I said, 25 to 27 miles per gallon. It's pretty awesome. The last positive I'm going to talk about in this car right now is the look and feel of the car for being a 1995. It feels amazing. It feels great. It handles well. There's no real sounds. There's no clunking and loud noises, and the look of it, people are very surprised that it's a 1995 when I tell them. So just for it being its age, it's in excellent condition. I bought it with about 80,000 miles on it, 78,000 miles to be exact. So, I mean, it's in excellent condition, and I plan to keep it that way. It just drives smooth and real well. The sounds are amazing. The engine sounds great. The suspension sounds awesome. The interior sound is very deadening. I don't hear much. I understand why this car won Car of the Year in 94, 95 in Japan. It won Car of the Year, and rightfully so. I mean, it has everything it needs in order to get you from point A to point B in style and comfort. So let's take a jump over to the negatives. The biggest negative, if you want to call it that, is the speed of the car, the actual speed of the car. It's rated 0 to 60 in 7.5 seconds, which is respectable for a mid-90s car at the time. But nowadays, this car is slow. It's not fast at all. It's even slower than a Ford Escape right now. A Ford Escape eco-friendly, whatever. So, I mean, it's got some pickup, it's got some torque, you can feel it. It's a V6, it's a small V6 at a 2.0 liter, but it's not fast by any means. I mean, I drive a Lotus and I drive a Mini Cooper. The Mini Cooper goes 0 to 60 in about 6.5 seconds. So they both feel so much faster than this car. But that's not why I drive this car. And plus, I don't really want to be beating on a 95. So I'm just driving it for the other positives. Second negative to the car that I would say that I've already experienced is getting parts for it. Now, the part that I was trying to find specifically was just an oil filter. I was just trying to make sure that I could find an oil filter here in America that fits the car. So finding an oil filter, and also I was trying to get some touch-up paint for the car. They don't make this paint scheme in America, so I had to get it specially made and stuff like that. So parts are a problem, but the good thing about that is there is a lot of these cars in Japan and the UK, and they made a lot of them. So finding parts for them is not terrible. You just have to import them. Another negative about this car that is actually a negative that I had in the Lotus is the lumbar support. And in fact, I would say the lumbar support in this car is so much worse than the lumbar support in the Lotus. My back, my lower back, I don't have a very good back, so my lower back was hurting almost immediately after driving the car for, you know, quite some time, and I was like, I got to do something about that. So I actually got this lumbar support pillow off Amazon, and it helps tremendously. But it's got no lumbar support, and it's a very curved seat. So if you got lower back issues, obviously there's things to correct it, and there's ways to fix it. But that is a negative that I find, especially for long distance driving. So that's pretty much it for the positives and negatives that weigh one side or the other. Now I'm just going to go over some overall thoughts of the car and just the overall experience. It's a normal car. I mean, it's got average speed, below average speed, let's be serious, but average handling. I mean, it feels like a boat. I drive a Mini and a Lotus, keep in mind, but it's got some body roll to it. So it's just an average car. It gets average miles per gallon, and it gets me from point A to point B. But the fact that it's a right-hand drive JDM FTO that they don't make here in America, that is where the car shines. That's where you get your money's worth out of it. You know, it's one thing that's actually quite shocking to me is it doesn't get as much attention as I thought it would. You know, it's a unique looking car, yes, but it's kind of average looking, right? So it looks like it blends in. It's not a super bright color, but it blends in. I mean, you get people sitting at a stoplight that don't look over, and then you get the people that do kind of glance over and they just realize you're on the other side of the car, and that's where it's kind of interesting. But I thought I was going to get that a lot more. I just thought it was interesting that not as many people notice it. Went through a drive-through for the first time. If you saw my right-hand drive video, I went through the drive-through, and the person in the drive-through didn't say anything, didn't do anything, didn't react or anything. So I just thought it was interesting, and that was kind of funny. We talk about the interior of the car. The interior of the car, I mean, it looks 90s, it feels 90s. There's nothing special about it. I have an aftermarket head unit, which I think fits really well and looks really nice in the car. But it's got this little digital screen with the outside temperature in Celsius, which just makes it feel more exotic. And it's got this interesting button here that didn't know what it was at first, but it's an antenna button, which you can raise and lower the antenna. It's got an electric antenna, and luckily for 1995, that still works. That's pretty much the interior. There's not much to it, and you got 4 seats. You got a decent sized trunk and a couple cool gauges up here. We got the battery gauge just to make sure we're running decent voltage and the time. So I've owned the car now for 3 months, and if you would ask me, is it worth it? The $13,000 I paid for it for just an average car? Yeah, I think actually, honestly, that's a steal. The car's more rare than a Lamborghini right now. It's so exotic to me, and of course, the right-hand drive just feels so different, and it feels new every time I get in it, and it's just a blast. I mean, even though it's not fast, it's just a blast to drive. You don't even have to be going fast. I'm sitting here on the right side of the car driving. It's just so cool. I love it, and that's the reason why you would buy this car. And then, of course, you know, take it to the car show, and you get to talk about it and just enjoy being the car enthusiast with other car enthusiasts. Now, right now during the pandemic, it's kind of difficult to do that, but obviously you got the people still, you know, in gas stations and on the street that you'd see. But this car is awesome. It's so fun. It's so cool. So worth it. So yeah, there's my review. There is my 1995 Mitsubishi FTO. I love it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, do all the good stuff that YouTube people say to do. And we'll see you next time. You know, leave a comment. Let me know what you want to see in another video, and maybe I can make it happen. All right, later.